Hey, what's up YouTube? Welcome to another Moralis tutorial video. My name is Vasily, I'm your Web3 instructor, and today we are going to check the Get Transfer by Contract endpoint for the Moralis API. This endpoint gets transfers of NFTs for a given contract and other parameters. So at the end, we are going to have something like this. Here I have an input field for the contract address. I'm going to use this one. The default chain is Ethereum, but you can use another EVM compatible blockchain, and the limit, which is going to determine the amount of items shown here, is by default 10. So if I click on Get Transfers, I got the information of all the transfers this specific contract has, the token ID which was transferred, the sender, the receiver, the transaction hash, we always can check on a block explorer like Etherscan, and of course the block number. So if you want to learn how to accomplish this, keep watching because we are just getting started. Back to the endpoint reference, if we use the same contract and click here on Try It, we are going to get a response like this on a JSON format, with all the relevant information we need for this, such as the ones I already showed you here. To get this response, we can use several different programming languages. For today's tutorial, we are using React.js on the frontend and Django on the backend, which is based on Python, so I'm going to keep here on the Python section and copy the code Moralis provides us. Here on my Django project, I have an empty script called services.py on which I'm going to paste that code. So we have to provide some parameters here, starting with our API key. And if you don't have a Moralis account yet, this is the time on the video for you to hit pause, go to moralis.io and create your free account. Here in your admin panel on Web3 APIs, you are going to get access to your free API key. So let's copy mine, go back to the code and paste it over here. Let's use the exact same contract address with a limit of 10 on the Ethereum chain. Let's save this and let's try if this works properly. So first of all, be sure you have installed Moralis with pip install Moralis. I already have it, so I can use Python services.py. And as you can see here, we got a similar response as we did on the reference webpage. But of course, this response is on the terminal and we want to use this on our project and show it on the front end. Therefore, we need to use this simple script into our project. But of course, we will want to use different parameters here, different contract addresses for a different chain and setting up the limit ourselves. So in order to transform this to something more useful to us, I'm going to take this and transform it into a function, which is going to get the address, the chain, and the limit as parameters. And with the magic of addition, we have our function ready, called getNFTContractTransfers. Finally, remember that using your API key into your code is a security risk, especially if you're going to push your code to a code repo like GitHub. So I'm going to transform my API key into an environment variable as well. So now you can store your API key here on this .env file. And if you're planning to push this to a code repo, just add this file to a git ignore. That was it for this script, so now let's use it on our project. So on our project views, first of all, I'm going to import that script from services, import get NFT contract transfers, and I have a new view here called get transfers, which is going to take the information from the frontend through this request variable, so I can set up manually the input parameters I need, which is going to be chain equals to request.get.getChain, the same for the address, and the same for the limit. And the limit is an integer, so let's parse this into an integer as well. Once we have these input parameters, we are ready to use this get NFT contract transfers function. NFT transfers is going to be equal to that function, and we are going to send the parameters. However, just to be cautious, we are not going to use positional arguments, but we are going to specify each one of them. So address is going to be equal to address, chain to chain, and limit the same to limit. This function is going to give us a response like this, which is a Python dictionary, and the frontend is not capable to understand Python dictionaries, so we have to transform this into a JSON. So JSON transfers going to be equal to json.dumps, the NFT transfers, and the only thing left for this view is to return that response, so return HTTP response of the JSON transfers. This view is ready, so now we can get its name, go to urls.py on our Django project and add it over here. And of course, be sure you have imported the views from your app. So I'm going to create a new one called getTransfers, views.getTransfers, and as we want to use relative paths, I'm going to give it a name, so name equal to getTransfers. And this is it for the backend. Let's see what we have to do on the frontend. On the frontend, on the package.json, first of all, we need to add a proxy pointing to the Django server IP. As we are testing this locally, is localhost in the port 8000, and we also are going to need Axios to connect to that backend. If you don't have this library, just use npm install Axios. So on the web page, this contract address, the chain, and the limit are related to this variable called params, which has also a chain, an address, and a limit. And as you already know, these are the parameters we need to send to our API request. So here, in a new function called refresh NFT transfers, using Axios, we are going to connect to the endpoint we just created on Django. So /getTransfers, question mark, and I have to send these parameters. The autocompletion is good enough to understand what I want to accomplish, so let's give it a try. And as you can see here, I'm sending over the chain, the address, and the limit. If everything goes well, for now, I just want to have a console.log out of that response to see if everything works properly. This refresh NFT transfers is already connected to this get transfers button. So let's give this a try. Let's open the console, put here the same contract address we used before for Ethereum and the limit of 10, and click on get transfers. And as you can see over here, we got the actual response, similar to the reference page, like here. And here on results, we got the actual information we want, such as the block number, the block hash, the sender address, the receiver address, the token ID, and more information we might find useful. Obviously, it depends on your use case. So the only thing left for us here is to take this JSON response and show it down here, as I already showed you at the beginning of the video. So here on the code, instead of using this console.log, I want to use that set NFT transfers function, and we need to use the res.data.result. This set NFT transfers is going to add all the response to this variable called NFT transfers. And down here, I have a new variable called rendered transfers, which is going to map over that NFT transfers variable and create a card out of each one of the elements. So I'm going to use the most relevant information, such as the token ID, the block number, the sender address, the receiver address, and also the transaction hash. And just like that, we have all the information we need. So let's give this a try again. Let's use the same address we used before and click on get transfers. And as you can see here, we have a similar response as I showed you at the beginning of the video. Let's try with another contract, for example this one for the CryptoPunks, and as you can see here, we have that information as well. And this is it. This was really easy, isn't it? Because remember, we just needed this small portion of code to connect to the Moralis API service and get the information we wanted, and almost in no time. How cool is that? That was it for today's video. Don't forget, all the code for this lesson is on the GitHub repo, so don't forget to check out the video description. And also click here to learn more about Moralis technology and see more videos. I'm serious. Click it. Do it now. Go ahead. See more videos. You did it? Nice. See you on the next occasion. Bye!